Welcome back to the homestead. It's a beautiful snowy Saturday morning. We're getting ready for our trip to Florida, picking everything up, and I'm like, we should talk about Milwaukee. You've all watched us do a few unboxings. You've watched us use a few of these products. It all started a couple of years ago when my Makita product line, the batteries were basically all dead. It was the older product line. It kind of made the decision. We were at Home Depot and we saw a Milwaukee kit on Black Friday special, and if you bought that kit you get 2 free tools. So we bought the kit, which I think was the drill, the impact, and a couple batteries if I remember correctly, and then we elected to get the skill saw and the sawzall. So skill saw and sawzall. And that was somewhere around, I think, $300 and something. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere in that ballpark. We kind of got home, we got using the stuff. We decided that we needed a few more batteries. So the next year on Black Friday, they had this kind of El Cheapo brushless Milwaukee, and it came with a couple 5 amp hour batteries for $99. So I picked that up. And then last year we decided we were going camping, and I said, it would be nice to have something if we need to change a tire on the side of the road. So I picked up the 1/2-inch drive Milwaukee Fuel Impact. This is the smaller version of it. They make 2 versions. This is the lesser expensive, smaller version. This will not actually start the lug nuts on the Dodge, but that's okay. We have a breaker bar and everything. So for what we use it for, it's actually really versatile. We can use it in the auto shop. We don't have to worry about twisting off bolts. So that's been a real handy tool. We kind of went on, we bought the M18, I don't remember the nomenclature, but it's the larger of the 2 hammer drills. I don't know if it's SDS Plus or Max. I think it's Max. But we bought the larger of the 2 hammer drills so we can drive ground rods. We have the ground rod driving attachment right here. And that has been an amazing lifesaver. Well, not lifesaver, but an amazing back saver. Because those of you that have never done electrical work, especially in New England where there's a lot of rocks, you start driving 8-foot ground rods with a sledgehammer, you get worn out pretty fast. That, it's about 5 or 6 minutes. We have a video. We'll try to leave a link at the end to that video up here, or maybe we'll just leave a bunch of unboxing videos down below as well. But I think Sue can leave a video up here for the driving the ground rods in the frozen ground. The multi-tool, or the vibratory tool, whatever you may want to call it. This is one that I'd never used one, and Sue kept saying she wanted one, she wanted one, she wanted one. She didn't really know why, she just wanted one. So I was into my local electrical supply, my CED one day, getting some stuff for electrical service, and they had this on the shelf. I'm like, you know what, throw it in my pile, let me get it. And this has been like the most versatile tool. This is an amazing tool, what you can do with it. You can get different tips for different things. You can actually get them that are the size of an electrical box. So you cut a whole box hole in sheetrock if you needed to. So this is just an amazing tool. If anybody doesn't have one of these and has never used one, and you have any model cordless tools, pick up the brand that matches your battery, of course. But this is a game changer in the world. The impact, can't say anything bad about that. The fuel impact that came in that kit, this thing works its butt off. It's fast and goes a long time on a battery. The drill. So I'm going to trash on Milwaukee a little here. This is from what I can tell, the most expensive, maybe most expensive is the wrong term. This is the highest quality, the best drill in a 1/2-inch M18 that Milwaukee makes. It's the 2804, I believe. And this is my second one, and I believe this one is probably on its way out. When I'm using these pretty heavy, doing hole saws through a wall for something or whatever the case may be, it gets really hot down here in the handle. And then they just quit working after a while, just dead. I've got one under the bench over there that's dead. This one, the last time we did it, was starting to get hot here, and it would just randomly, it wouldn't cut out, but it would make like a growling noise and lose power. And if you let off the trigger and pull the trigger again, it would go again. And I know you're going to tell me I should stop, I should let it cool, and maybe you're right, but I can tell you that in my old Makita line, when I put a beating on my cordless drill, it kept going and going and going until the battery was dead. I get it if I'm buying the $99 brushless El Cheapo, blah, 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 blah. I understand that that should probably, you know, maybe not have all the bells and whistles. But Milwaukee needs to step up their game, in my opinion, on their fuel line, especially on this product, and they need to make a drill that will stand up to continuous duty out there for the contractors in the world. That's just my rant on that one. I still like the drill, don't get me wrong. They're not terribly expensive. I think they're 150 bucks. So when they burn up, I just buy another one and keep going, but it is what it is. The skill saw. So you'll notice that some of these just say brushless, some of them say fuel. So Milwaukee puts the fuel label on their higher end product. And the skill saw is not a fuel skill saw, it is brushless. It was one of those, you know, you get it free when you buy the kit. It's actually done pretty much everything we want to do, but if you're an everyday contractor and you're out building houses, you may want to spring for the a little more expensive one and get the fuel, because it's going to just be longer lived, it's going to have a little more power. So the chainsaw, that was kind of another one of those deals where Milwaukee was having a buy more, get more. And I think I talked about that a lot in that video, but the chainsaw itself basically put us at, I think, a $50 savings. And if we spent a little bit more, we could get $100 savings. So we bought the chainsaw and the weed trimmer at the same time to get $100 off, both tools only, because we've already had the batteries. So we bought both of those as tool only. And both of those have been just amazing. We love the chainsaw. It takes a standard basic, you know, chain and bar that you can buy at any, you know, chainsaw shop or hardware store. And with the 12 amp hour battery that came with our hammer drill, I can saw enough wood to loosely throw in the back of the truck and basically round the truck up out of my firewood pile, which is all I kind of want to do in a day anyways. So that's been real handy. If we're going to do like a little trail maintenance, somebody gives us a call and says, hey, there's a tree down on the railroad bed, can you guys go clean it up for us? We can actually throw that in the trunk of the car, drive up the railroad bed, and cut the tree up. Whereas if we had a gas-powered chainsaw, you know, you wouldn't want to throw it in the trunk of the car because it's leaking gas, or could be leaking gas. And after you cut the tree up, it's going to be hot, right? So then you take the truck. So that's just been real handy. Sue's able to use it. She feels comfortable with it. The weed trimmer is the same way. We did buy the light, the job site light, that you know, it picks up and the head turns around and the legs come out. It can be plugged into 120 or take an M18 battery. That's actually been a really cool tool because we do a lot of electrical work. We end up in basements and places where there's no power yet because we're the electricians, and that will go a long time on a battery, and it's got some different settings so you can turn the power down a little bit, and that's just been very, very helpful. Can't complain at all. The hedge trimmer, this was Sue's idea. So, you know, basic hedge trimmer. She thought this would be handy for doing ATV trail work, for like when the bushes and the berries and stuff grow in. You really can't use a chainsaw, it's just too scraggly, and doing things by hand. And that has actually worked well. She's used that quite a bit on the trails. I kind of joke that I think you could probably hold it out of the passenger side of the ATV and I can drive real slow and you can just trim. We haven't tried that yet. And then we have the pole saw over in the back. So you guys stay there, I'm gonna go around and pick it up for you. The pole saw attachment replaces the weed whacker head right here. And we've used that a fair amount. That actually works really well. No complaints there. The weed trimmer, that will go on, I don't put the 12 amp hour battery in it just because it's so heavy, but on the 8 amp hour battery, that will trim all of our trimming here. And you guys have seen some of our food forest and some of our raised beds and just how much trimming we have to do. So it probably takes me a good solid 45 minutes excuse me, to do all the trimming. And that 8 amp hour battery will see me through that. It's just about dead when I get there, but it'll see me through it. And we have not picked up our gas-powered trimmer since we purchased that. We use that on the rail trail, around signs. We use it here. We've just, on our side trails. We've just really enjoyed having that. It's quiet, it's easy, your hands don't vibrate afterwards, so on and so forth. And then we get into batteries, and like I said, the 12 amp hour battery and a rapid charger came with the hammer drill. And some of these tools, you want to think about what battery you use, right? So like, here's a little 2 amp hour M18 battery. You're gonna grab your drill, you want to just make a couple holes, perfect, right? You want to drive a couple screws, perfect. You're gonna want to go cut firewood, not gonna want to use this battery. So your high demand tools, like your hammer drill, your chainsaw, yeah, thank you. Your weed trimmer, probably even your skill saw, unless you're doing real small cuts. You want to stick to something that has a little more oomph. So, think of the amp hour as kind of like the horsepower as well. Even though the amp hour is how long it'll run, these smaller batteries don't have that horsepower to drive either. So you're just, everything's going to run a little hotter, everything's going to run a little, less productive for you. But these 2 amp hour batteries are great when you're trying to do something light, easy, quick. You don't want extra weight on the Sawzall because you're up on a ladder doing something. I think probably these 5 amp hour batteries, to me, the XC, these are probably the sweet spot for most of the tools because they're still pretty light and they're heavy enough that the tool is really stable with it on there. You don't really have to worry about the tool falling over so much. Just a nice place to be. The 6 amp hour is actually quite a bit bigger than the 5. For 1 amp hour, it's kind of amazing. So if you look at these, I'll try to do try to move a few things out of your way here. So there's a 2, there's a 5, there's a 6, and an 8. So you can see already how tall they are, right? I mean, there's much difference in height. Now if I stand them up this way, show you how much bigger they get that way too. So you can see the 6 and the 8 are the same exact size. The 12 is huge, the 12 is heavy. I mean, that battery is probably, I'm gonna say 8 pounds or so. Now you can use it on your drill, absolutely, but it's a little much for carrying around. Works well on a skill saw, a chainsaw, etc. So, that's what you got to look at when you look at these, and especially on the kits. Be really careful on the kits because a lot of times, well, Milwaukee's not going to get into this to lose money, right? They're not giving you anything. They're selling a bundle at a profit that's enticing you into purchasing something. And you just have to look at that. Keep your eyes open when you go to look at that kit. Do your research. Look at the model numbers. Go home and look at them on the computer. Read some reviews. Because you really want to make sure, if you can, that you're getting that fuel logo, especially if you're going to use these in any kind of contractor's, setting. Our Sawzall is not a fuel. Still works fine for us, but it is not the fuel model, which if we were doing carpentry every day, that might be a problem. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. You want to look at the deals, you want to look at the bundles, you want to find out what makes sense to put things together. Sometimes it makes sense to buy a bare tool, like we did the chainsaw. Sometimes, like in the case of the hammer drill, I was able to get the hammer drill with the 12 amp hour battery and a rapid charger for, I want to say it was only like $100 more to get the battery and the charger versus the bare tool. And that battery alone is, several $100s. So that was the deal, and that's what we did, and then we were able to buy the other tools batteryless. And yeah, you just kind of go on from there, and it becomes an addiction, and you keep purchasing. But that's kind of our review of these tools. You really can't go wrong with any brand cordless tools, in my opinion. If you get a brand and you invest in it, that's kind of what you're going to do. Look at your overall picture. What do you think you're going to want out of this product line? Are you going to want a string trimmer? Are you going to want a chainsaw? And if you do, you kind of want to look at the overall bundle if you're starting fresh. because you don't want, you know, like a Makita chainsaw and a DeWalt drill and then a Milwaukee skill saw, because none of the batteries are interchangeable. And then we do have a little bit of an M12 line. So my first endeavor into the M12 was this poor little old drill, which I swear if you put a battery in it, you can actually hold it, even with a full battery. But that is the handiest little drill. We use that for putting receptacles together in houses when we're doing wiring. You know, you can put the receptacle and the switches in the box with it. If you've got something that doesn't need much power, it's just so light and so easy to use. We bought the right angle drill when we were doing the summer kitchen because we had a place we couldn't get in. And with the bigger 4 amp hour battery, that's actually a powerful little drill and works really well. And then you saw us with the inflator. We did a video on that, a couple of videos on that. But this we put in the camper with this battery, and we have a charger in the camper, in the belly of the camper. We have a Milwaukee charger plugged in where we can keep a battery topped off. So we take this with us when we go camping because we can blow tires up on the road. It's really easy. Shows you the pressure already in there, and you just hit it and you can go around and do other stuff while it's blowing up. And then we take the impact and usually take like an 8 amp hour battery with us as well in the camper. And that way if we need to change a tire or do something like that, we have an extra tool. So I think that's about it. I think overall, we're happy with the Milwaukee line. We're slowly, you know, as things burn up or break, we'll weed them out. Like when the skill saw finally gives up from me abusing it, I'll buy the better fuel skill saw, and the same with the Sawzall. But the drill is really my only complaint. Again, if I could have a Milwaukee engineer in the room and I could beat him in the head with it a few times and say, guys, you know, this is, and it doesn't have to be this drill. It can be a new model that costs more money. I don't care if this drill costs me $300. If it would do everything I need it to do and not let me down, I would pay that for a drill. Those of you that use a drill a lot, use hole saws a lot, you know, anything like that, you know that that's kind of your extension of your hand. And when it just fails and you don't have another drill with you, you're going to find another drill and coming back to the job. So anyways, that's my only one rant on the Milwaukee line. Other than that, it was cleaning up. We saw all this stuff and like, hey, we should bring you guys along and tell you what we think after we've been beating on it. And you can see, I mean, you can clearly see how dirty the tools are and how much they've been used. You know, that's a brand new tool and you can see the difference in the red. So we don't baby these at all. You can see the lights all covered in mud. We took that out working on an ATV trail in the middle of the night because that's the only time the excavator guy could come in, and the thing was sunk in the mud this deep. You know, we buy our tools to use. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.